So, a very good evening, all of you. Today we are here for the week three problem solving session for the course on understanding incubation and entrepreneurship. And it's great that we have reached one fourth of our journey today. So, there are 12 lectures in all which will be happening. And today we are here at the third problem solving session. So, meanwhile, others are joining in. Let me briefly introduce myself. My name is Abhishek Srivastav. I did my undergraduation from SPA Delhi. The course which I took was Bachelor of Architecture. And after that, I pursued my Master's of Industrial Design from the very same college. Uh, After my post graduation, I worked for quite some time. So I worked as uh, senior designer for user experience at Infosys. This was followed by working at Think Design, and then I started my own company, which was around design consultancy. And after that, I also started teaching at few design institutions. So after teaching around 2.5 years, then I started my research journey here at IIT Roorkee. So presently I am pursuing my doctoral program at IIT Roorkee, and currently I'm in my third year of my PhD as of now. And I've been taking up this particular course. I took it up previous year as well. Uh, so I have a lot of experiences from the past course, what to do, how to motivate students, how to engage students, and a lot of things I'm learning today as well. So, with that quick introduction, let me quickly invite the people who are in the call. If you can please, tell your name, your institution, and how has been your experience up till now with respect to assignment submission and the sessions. Yes, so we can start with Shweta.
Yeah. Good evening, Abhishek. I am Dr. Shweta Saini, and I'm heading the School of Retail at FDTI, that is Footwear Design and Development Institute. It's also an INI institute, and it comes under Ministry of Commerce. Although I have nothing to do with footwear, but I'm mainly related to retail, and I am finding this course very useful. Because I have a certain background related to design also, not design thinking, but design, the generic design. So when the lectures are taking place and the teams are building, I really like that part, because generally the cross functional, the cross disciplinary teams are there. So I'm thoroughly enjoying this program. As such, I don't have any queries, but I just thought that let me just check out that what other people, what kind of queries other people have. So that's why I'm here.
So, ma'am, is this your first session?
Yeah, here, yeah, it is my first session. Yeah,
Okay,
right.
and what's your motivation to opt for this course, ma'am?
My motivation is long back in 2005, rather four and five. I had my own venture. It was related to apparel designing. I did solo exhibitions as well, and I failed miserably there because as I told you that I have a design background. I did my FCT course from NIF Delhi. So just like any other designer, I also used to think that design is everything, but managing the business is most important thing. So that was one of the motivations, that when you talk about startup, what all you need to think, what model you need to generate. And I was not aware that how to pivot at that point of time, which now I can say confidently that I can mentor others, because that failure I wear it on my sleeves, that yes, I failed miserably there. So I can connect with that to start any venture, whether it is a small or a big, you have to have a business model. you need to know that how deep your pockets are and how strong your appetite is to catch hold of the funds. I faced I have been through that process, so I can connect with the costs in that way.
That's true, and that's true. Thanks a lot for sharing your journey. I think that's
Yeah,
something which
that's
we
it
can
from
all
my
learn
side.
from. All right, ma'am. Thank you so much. We have got Nangroi Bare. Nangroi, if you want to introduce briefly about yourself, your college, what is your motivation to join the course? I can see your hand raised. If you are unable to speak, maybe what you can do is you can please text here on the group and using the chat option, and I would be able to read it from there. Yes. So if you are unable to speak or you have some internet or sound related issues, you can please post it in the chat box and we can take it from there. So let's begin with our presentation deck. All right. I hope my screen is visible to all. So,
Yeah, it is visible.
okay. So once again, welcome to all of you, those of you who are here for the third session of understanding incubation and entrepreneurship. The course instructor is Professor V.K. Chakravarti, as well as along with a lot many mentors who have been, sharing their point of views, feedbacks from the different institutions, the different centers who have partnered with IIT to guide and incubate a lot of startups. Today we are here for our third session. We have had two sessions previously, and my name is Abhishek Srivastava. So, like I mentioned, in all our sessions, we do observe an initial few slide deck. It remains common, but the idea is that if a new learner is joining in for the first time, that person should also be able to understand the entire structure of the presentation, the session, and it will help you understand, how the course, the brief outline about the course, some information regarding examinations, as well as some information regarding the content recap, because many a times we do not have enough time to go through the content. So, starting with the general agenda of the course, we are here to conduct the live sessions, which will help you in the current run of courses. Current run of course, which means the current week three content, which is live and for which the assignments has to be submitted. We shall be discussing and solving week specific assignments, which is basically a set of 10 questions, which are other than the live assignment. So, just quickly have a look if somebody has joined in. So, I'll just quickly explain this. So, every week you have weekly assignments, and the idea is that you submit these assignments at the end of every week once you have gone through the course content. So, by now, week three assignment is active and you need to submit it before the deadline. What we also do in these sessions are we respond to the queries and questions, as well as we do content recap of the ongoing week. This is something which I've added and I have found it quite useful because many a times the learner don't have the luxury of time to go through the entire content. So it gives you a very brief idea about what was covered in this particular week. And when we discuss our set of 10 questions, it also helps them, try to respond to these questions. Because in my previous stints, I've realized that many a times student would not go through the content or the learner is unable to go through the content. and henceforth addressing or replying to the questions became very challenging for them. So this way, they're able to see the content, they're able to understand, what all has been covered, and then they can make a informed decision when we are discussing around the questions. Okay, so going forward, during the session, we expect everybody to please keep their mic on mute so as to avoid any kind of noise disturbances. As you know, all these sessions are being recorded. It is a mandate which has been given by the NPTEL that we record all these sessions and we upload it as well. All right. Uh, Obviously, if you have any questions, you can unmute and ask those questions. Or when we are discussing these 10 of set of 10 questions, then also I would want you to please join in and think aloud and share your opinion. What could be the right answers to these questions? And then there is a very interesting functionality of discussion forum. Those you have not still not used it, it's an offering by the NPTEL team, and you can utilize using this particular tab called Ask a Question. So the moment you click here, you are redirected to a Google group wherein you have got different stakeholders. One is all the learners of the group, all those who have enrolled in this. Then you have me, and then you also have NPTEL members who can address certain questions. We have got one person, Amar Deepak sir, your mic is
Okay, sir.
okay. Let me introduce. Fine. So we were there at the ask a question functionality. So if you have any questions, you can actually post it in that particular forum. How it helps is that since all these three stakeholders are present in the group, so whenever a learner posts any questions, we all get alerted. And it also helps me in terms of responding to the question because the moment I respond, again a notification goes to all the different stakeholders. Probably if you have been active in this course, we have got a couple of mails, queries in the form of mails, and we have also responded to them through the mail. And I believe email notifications are something which basically gets generated. So besides that, you also have certain more tabs for announcement tab. It is something which is very critical, and I would request all to please regularly visit because you get important announcements, including problem solving sessions, the weekly deadlines, as well as whenever the evaluations are done. And going forward, you'll also receive important notifications regarding your examinations. So henceforth, I would request you to please keep a watch here. Usually, whatever comes in as announcement tab is also sent via email at your register mail ID. So even if you are checking your inbox, that should be good enough in terms of capturing the important emails and information that needs to be taken care. So we've got people joining in. Okay, going ahead. This is how your NPTEL login screen looks like. The moment you have logged in, you will see something like this. These tabs are important if you are going to register this course, if you need a certificate. So for that, you need to appear in the examination. This is where the entire content is, week 1, week 2. You get in the below tab. And this is where your content is visible in the form of YouTube videos. All right. So all these sessions are being recorded, as I mentioned, and all these recordings are available on YouTube. This is where the entire session gets uploaded. Even the presentation which you see along with annotations is converted to a PDF and it also gets uploaded in a Google Drive. So both these things, the PDF as well as the video in MP4 format, is uploaded and it is easily accessible for all the learners. So you don't have to worry about these links. By now you would have already seen that there is a problem solving session tab which appears at the bottom. When you click on this particular problem solving session, it leads you to a different page, which again says click here. So although there are a couple of clickings, and then it opens up a spreadsheet. And in that spreadsheet, you've got week-wise YouTube link along with one generic Google Drive folder. So here you will find the PDFs and here you will find all the recordings. Now the idea of this particular functionality is that many a times we have certain engagements. If we are talking about students, they might have assignments, they might have examinations, they might have a lot of work to do. So talking about another user persona, if we talk about professionals, they might have certain meeting commitments, certain other engagements. So what NPTEL has done is that all these content is uploaded at a single repository so that anybody who has time in their free time, basically they can see all these content at the luxury of their time. Right? So it is not a hardbound timeline that only 6 to 8 you will be able to resolve your queries, but actually you can go through the entire session whenever you have time throughout the week. A little bit about the course preview. The course is Understanding Incubation and Entrepreneurship. It's taken by Professor V.K. Chakravarti sir, who is from the IDC School of Design at IIT Bombay. He also heads the DIC, which stands for Design Innovation Center. The course duration is 12 weeks and week 3 assignment deadline is 14th of August and week 4 assignment deadline is 21st of August. So please be mindful about these deadlines because it is crucial for you to submit the assignments, and submitting this assignment is basically mean that you get assessed internally and that will basically lead you to your certifications. So you'll be coming on that slide as well. So the final exam date as of now is 26th of October. You'll be given either of the two slots, which is the pre-lunch slot and the post-lunch slot. And while filling your registration, you can opt for cities which are in proximity to your town. And accordingly, you will be given the examination center wherein you will have to go and sit for examination. So it would be a physical mode kind of examination, although you might be given a computer to respond to the queries, the questions. So this particular slide is basically a screenshot of progress. Now, since the deadlines are already over for week 1 and week 2, you would be able to see your evaluations, right? So up till now, evaluations were not visible for the very reason that the deadline was still active. Now the deadline for assignment 1 and 2 are over. You would be able to see your marks. So it's basically to help you evaluate yourself, how well you are able to understand the content, perceive the content, and interpret it. So you get evaluations in terms of progress. It also counters, I mean, how many lectures you have already attended, how many assignments you have already attempted, and then you also get to see your marks in those assignments. Now, the course is free to learn. So, anybody with a valid email ID can actually register for the course, can learn from the course. However, if there is a requirement for certificate, you will have to be doing the registration by paying a fee of 1,000 rupees. As of now, the last date for the registration of examination is 16th of August, few days from now. So if you are doing it from a credit perspective, which means that you have opted this course to gain certain credits, which will be basically accounted in your semester wise result. If that is the scenario, I would suggest that please do not delay your registration for examination, because further you delay, then there is provision of late fine as well. So late fee is also applicable, right? So I would suggest all the learners who are doing it from a credit perspective, please do your registrations as soon as possible. All right. So this slide basically I give some time to it because it's an important one. This is regarding your certification. So it needs to be cleared. All right. So I've written three heads: internals, externals, and overall. Internal basically qualify for your week-wise assignments. So we have got 12 weeks. So week 1 to week 12, we have got week-wise assignments, and all these are accounted for in your internals. So what NPTEL says is that we consider the best 8 assignments of the total 12, right? So obviously there is always a possibility that you do not score well in all the assignments. That's where NPTEL gives you the feature that we'll count only the best 8 out of them, and this accounts for 25% of the marks. Forwards. Coming on to the external. By external, we basically mean the proctored examination. That is, you will be going to a physical center, you will be sitting in the examination for 3 hours, and then whatever you score will be given a weightage of 75%. All right. So by external, I mean your physical exam. And the sum of both these will lead you to your final score, which is 100% marks. All right. Now, there is another catch to it, which is internal and external and overall, they have a condition in itself. So, all this is important if you are doing it from a credit perspective. That's why I'm trying to elaborate it in as much detail as possible. So, for internals, your marks need to be more than 10 out of 25. In external, it needs to be more than 30 or 75, which essentially means your mark should be more than 40 out of 100. And let's look at a couple of scenarios in which you might don't get your certificate. For example, you score 5 out of 25 and you score 55 out of 75. What happens? So overall your score is 60 out of 75. But since you are not meeting a requirement here, you will not get a certificate. Let's take another scenario. You scored 20 out of 25 and you scored 25 out of 75. Overall, your score is 45 out of 75. But since your external score is less than 30, which means again you will not get a certificate, right? So this basically means that you have to give equal importance to your internals as well as externals. Although you have a luxury of performing the best 8 assignments, and that will be counted. So that flexibility you get in your internals. However, we don't have such flexibility in external. It will be just one go which will be given to you, and you have to perform well. Right. So from a certification perspective, these conditions are very important, very critical. So please submit all your internal assignments and prepare well for your external assignments. So if learners keep joining in, so I'm sorry we have to every time a new learner join in, we have to pause and admit it because again we have been told to keep a watch on whosoever is joining in. We cannot make it open to all because of certain reasons. All right. So this is a brief overview of week one, week two, week three. Till now, we have covered week one content, week two content, and today we are here to discuss the week three content. Week one content was basically a primer about the course, as well as what do you mean by entrepreneurship, what are the reasons why startups fail, what do you mean by lean startup, and the mistakes of the startups. And then it had a couple of startup stories. This was followed by hand holding for entrepreneurship, journey of Mustafa, the idea matter guy. And then we had three panelists who talked about their own startup journey. What was important is that these all three were basically a part of Ignite program of the GDC. So they shared, how GDC helped them in pivoting or, making the right decisions at the right time. And then you have ALMs, which basically stands for additional learning material. And so if you have a luxury of time, you are more interested to learn about the course or the kind of week specific content, you are free to go through these things, these materials, which are sometimes in a form of PDF, sometimes in a form of videos, and sometimes in a form of newspaper articles. So it's basically to reinforce your learnings of this particular content. In this particular week, Professor V.K. Chakravarti talked about the 7 C's, which are also called the 7 concerns, which we'll be discussing in the presentation. Talked about team building, why team building is important, what are the factors that you need to, ensure. So that is also there. This is followed by the problem statement presentation, wherein basically the IIT Hyderabad MDes students presented their problem statement to Professor Chakku and Mr. Rupesh, who was from the MITI. And they basically shared their opinions, how can they improvise on their problem statement. And in terms of ALM, they have a PDF regarding the Palki for Vaishno Devi, then the Fisher Miller skeleton, the story of animal, and no rules Netflix. It's also in a form of video. All right. So basically, we have two typology of questions. We have got questions wherein only single correct answer is there, and these are reflected by circular shaped icons. These are basically called radio buttons. And which primarily mean that only one correct answer is there. So what paratha you want, I can select only one of them. All right. Then you have multiple correct answers, which is basically in the form of square. So what do you want in your burger? I can select multiple. And if I feel that, all full are correct, I can also do multi-select and select all the four options. Okay. So if you have already attempted your week 1 and 2, probably you would be able to relate much better. If you haven't, then these are the two types of questions which are asked. Although there are certain more refinement to it, wherein you might have questions which fill in the blanks, but then again that could be reflected in one of the two formats. All right. Now here comes another question which is very very important. It's not basically a question. It's basically how the marking happens in NPTEL quizzes and assignments. Uh, Give a time to just read it by yourself, and then I'll explain using an example. So try to read up the first, second, and third principles of marking. Okay. So the question is, who among the below have been the captain of Indian cricket team? Anyone who would like to respond to the question? The options are Kapil Dev, MS Dhoni, Yuzvendra Chahal, and Shubman Gill. So what are the correct answers for this?
A and B. A and B.
Anyone else? Okay, so recently even Shubman Gill was the captain when they are touring in the Sri Lanka for a bilateral series. So he was also the captain, right? So the correct responses to this question are A, B, and D. All right. Now let's try to understand the first principle, which says if all options chosen by the student are correct and no incorrect answer has been chosen, then full marks. Okay. So if you select A, B, D, and you submit, you'll get full marks. So whatever marks has been allotted, if it is one, you'll get all 1 mark. Let's talk and discuss scenario 2, which says if at least one incorrect answer has been chosen, then no marks. So if you select A, B, and C, or if you select B, C, and D, and then submit, since C is the incorrect answer, but you have also selected the correct ones, but since you have selected an incorrect answer, then no marks. Now let's try to understand scenario three, which says if only correct answers are chosen, but not all correct answers have been chosen, then partial marks proportional to the number of correct answers are awarded, which basically means if you select A, B, and submit, if you select A, D, and submit, or if you select B, D, and it goes on. So you'll get partial marks. Since you have not selected all the three, but you have selected only the correct ones, then you'll get some proportionate marks. So if you are getting marks in decimals, you know, you can refer to this particular scenario which says and talks about the proportional marking. I hope this particular scenario is understood, well understood by all. All right, so going forward, yeah, this slide is important because we have seen lot many learners joining in, and it's also important to highlight those who have been very diligent in terms of these sessions, and they have also been quite vocal in the question and answer sessions and discussions. So these were the people who stayed for the longest duration in the previous week. Chinmay Rajendra, Shantanu Ramesh, Aditya Kamble, Dushing, Om Dilip, Ganesh Bhave, Saloni Pushparaj Singh, and Madhura Shashikant. So well done, guys. You have been very patient throughout the session, and many of you had also been very vocal in terms of, especially the section on set of 10 questions, wherein you shared your thoughts up to the correct answer. So I would request you to please be active, and all those others whose name is not there, I would want you guys to have your names in this Gmeet learner board from the next session. So best wishes to all these people, and best wishes to the other learners who are present here. All right. So now we come on to our section on content recap. As I've already mentioned, it is basically for those people who have been unable to go through the entire content. So basically, this contains the snippets of the presentation of the content which has been presented, and it will help you recall, what was all mentioned, what was all talked about. So this module was basically around innovation, team building, and problem statement. There were three sessions in this entire module: methodology of innovation, which was essentially taken by Professor D.K. Chakravarti sir. Then team building, wherein Mr. Rupesh was there from the Bati. And then session three, defining the problem statement, where both of them were basically giving feedback to the learners who were the MD students of IIT Hyderabad. All right. So it started with the seven concerns of innovation, also called as Chakku 7C. Now, Chakku basically comes from uh, the name of the professor. If you are not aware, it's D.K. Chakravarti sir. And from here, it has come around as Chakkus. So he's also known as Professor Chakku in IIT. And these concerns are basically Chakku's 7Cs. So it started the story of Netflix, how it started sending DVDs by mail, and then they introduced a monthly subscription model, and then they started introducing online subscription for streaming videos. So the ecosystem and environment around you can push you to innovation and entrepreneurship, which basically was around the time when the Netflix was started utilizing the online ecosystem, wherein they started using AI and algorithms to make suggestions with the content being viewed by the customers. Here is a quick profile of Professor Chakravarti sir, who started his professional career from Larsen Toubro, and then he was a professor at IIT Delhi, and then he joined IIT Bombay in 2001 to present. So the professor talked about a few of their products, of which one was the vein tracer, which was a device to identify the veins easily during the vein puncture procedures. And it could be very much helpful for small children, obese patients, and dark skin patients, wherein the identification of veins, veins is difficult. At the same time, the pain of multiple pricks is huge, right? So especially if you see small children, I mean, they don't want to be, suffering from pain from the multiple pricks, and that's where this particular product can help them, help the doctors and the nurses in easy identification of the veins, so that they can utilize it for the medical purposes. Then comes the story of water bottle for CRPF Jawans, this which was taken up by one of his student at IDC, Devanshi, and they had multiple meetings with the stakeholders, which are basically from the CRPF. They came for multiple meetings. They shared their perspective. They shared their feedback, and that's how the design narrowed down, refined multiple times through various iterations to come onto a final product. This is basically a storyboard of how a CRPF Jawan would use the product. So you can see, I mean, this basically elaborates in a visual format of how the entire product works. Visual is always better in respect to a text. So if you see, I mean, this is how you remove the bottom cap, and then you put the filter into the water source, like here, and then you use the crank, in a clockwise or anti-clockwise direction, so that the water starts going up through the filter and it gets stored into the water tank. Once it is done, you can lift off the filter, you can wrap it up through coiling mechanism here, you can insert the filter back, and then you can close the water and you can sip, drink the water. So this is how the entire bottle works around. So it's a very beautiful way of representation, because through storyboarding, through these small sketches, you are able to understand the context, you are able to understand the product feature, and you are able to understand the usage principles. So even in your regular works and presentations, use of visuals are very, very helpful. So from a presentation standpoint also, I think it is something which you can learn from. All right. Then we have a product called Solar, which was window mounted solar oven. Just a visualization of how the product would look in a domestic scenario. So they basically looped in people from three different streams for a collaborative design process, from energy sciences, material sciences, and polymer sciences, so that they can be on the thermal aspects of the oven, the coatings, and the polymers and plastics which are required in the making of this entire product. This basically details out the product. It was a double-walled polycarbonate shell. So if you, it's hard to see, but this is one shell, and within that there was another shell. Coated aluminum plates inside, which creates a greenhouse effect inside the oven. Okay. And this was the ID Bombay alumni who was working on solar oven. His name is Mr. Avinash. He also presented his work in fine, which was the Festival of Innovation. Then comes the project on Palki for Vaishno Devi Shrine, Jammu. It was again a collaborative project between the Government of India, the Katra Board, Shrine Board, then IDC as well as NITI Mumbai, which basically is now IAM Mumbai, if you are aware of. And it has basically scored sixth in the NIRF ranking, which were released yesterday only. All right. Then there were a few more products which was discussed. This includes the helmet design. It was basically an exercise by the designer students at IIT Bombay. So if you recall, there are basically the presentation includes students from two IITs. Like the helmet project was shared at IIT Bombay, and then there are IIT Hyderabad students who are basically working on their problem statements and pitch presentations. And eventually, you will see, how they are refining their business model and their pitch presentations, which will be happening in the subsequent weeks. All right, so it is week by week content which is being progressively disclosed. Can anyone tell what is the USP of this design? Anyone who can tell the USP of this helmet? Unique selling proposition. कोई बता सकता है? If you see here, the then helmet has been broken down into two elements. So one is this part, and then you have this part here, right? And if you see, the top part can actually go inside in a lit form, and then it gets submerged with the part two. कोई बता सकते हैं इसका यूएसपी क्या है? One is that it is working out in different parts, but then in what situation would this be helpful? All right, so I'll tell you guys. So if you remember, normally helmets are used in two-wheelers, and in two-wheelers there is a limited storage space. So if you are going to shop in a market, you might be placing or parking your vehicle somewhere and going by foot. So while you park your vehicle, many times the helmet would not get fit in properly because of the limited space in the two-wheeler storage. And that's where this design is handy because the top part gets inserted in the main part and then you get a reduced. If you see, this is how the helmet volume is. And the moment it is inserted, it becomes like this. So you've got a reduced area and it can easily fit in your storage, which is basically the USP of this particular product. Right? And this slide is basically talking about the ALM. I hope you would have gone through the content of ALM. It is the additional learning material wherein they have PDFs regarding the Palki for Vaishno Devi and then case study on the fisherman skeleton and then the story on Netflix. This is followed by a very interesting story of, Neetu Yadav and Kirti Jangra, who started their entrepreneurial journey, and it gets published in the Forbes India. And the idea was to have an online marketplace for trading cattle in Rajasthan. So their startup name is Any Mall. So it's basically the mall for animals, and wherein you can buy cows and buffaloes, basically the kettles, can be sold through an online platform. So their stories, their struggle and the issues they face while convincing their family members, because both of them studied at IIT and their parents had different expectations from them. But then they convinced their families about their ideas and what they want to pursue, and they are doing really great with different rounds of fundings which have already been there and have backed this particular venture of theirs. So please go through the readings of this particular Neetu Yadav and Kirti Jangra, and you might also want to visit their mobile app and desktop placeholder where you can see how they are basically aiding this particular transaction of marketplace wherein you can purchase and sell cows and cattle. All right. So before we start with the question, let's take a 2 minute break and then we will be proceeding with a set of 10 questions. All right. So we'll pause for a couple of minutes and then we will continue our presentation. Let's have a quick check on the count of people. Okay, now we have got few more people. We have got Nandri, Aman Puxar, Lipsita Bahira, Ganesh, Arthana, Shruti Arya, Madhura, Shantanu. All right, guys. Let's take a 2 minute break and then we'll continue our session. We'll be restarting the session. All right. So with this, we come on to our set of 10 questions. And once again, I would request your involvement. You can either unmute yourself and speak, or you can also type in the chat message feature of the Google Meet. The first question is, complete the following sentence said by Professor B.K. Chakravarti in Lecture 3, Methodology for Innovation. Innovation methodology helps in coming up with solutions which can dash a large number of people and can get dash customers. Your options are which can delight a large number of users and get potential customers, which can satisfy a large number of users and get international customers, which can target large number of users and get domestic customers, and which can cater a large number of users and get few customers. So these are the four options A, B, C, and D. And I would request your thoughts on what could be the right answer. Innovation methodology helps in coming up with these solutions which can dash a large number of users and can get dash customers. So all those who are present here, we have got votes for A, we've got votes for C. All right. Anyone else? We've got one more vote for A. All right, good, good. Any further thoughts? A, B, C, or D? Okay, let's have a quick look. We've got two votes for A and one vote for target and domestic, and two votes for delight and potential. Now let's see the reference. It says in the innovation methodology, new solutions can benefit and delight large number of users. The innovation methodology helps us come up with solutions which can delight large number of users and can get potential customers, right? So the correct answers for this are delight and potential. I think a couple of you mentioned the correct answer and you're very true on it. It is delight and potential. Now, another thing which is quite interesting is see the kind of question which is being framed here. Right? So it is not a typical multi-select or single select question. It is basically a sentence which is being used as a fill in the blanks, and that too with two sets of blanks. Right? So you can see, I mean, this is how the typology of question can actually vary a little bit. So you can be prepared yourself for these type of questions, right? Let's proceed to our next question. So here the correct answer is innovation methodology helps in coming up with the solutions which can delight a large number of users and get potential customers. Okay, well done. Let's come on to the question number 2. Which of the following aspects does the innovation process showcase, as mentioned by Professor Chakravarti in Lecture 3 of Methodology for Innovation? So we are asking the aspects does the innovation process showcase? Your options are empathy, effortless workflow, constant interaction with the users, and effective collaboration. Now, please remember we have a square checkbox, which basically means multiple correct answers. All right. So, we are talking about aspects. I would want you to please respond to the question. What aspects do you see gets involved in the innovation process showcase? These options are empathy, effortless workflow, constant interaction with the users, and the effective collaboration. So, all those learners who are present in, all right, you have got one vote for A, C, and D. Great. We've got another vote for A, C, and D. Good, good, guys. Remaining of you, up till now, we have got two votes for empathy, two votes for constant interaction with the users, two votes for effective collaboration, and we've got one more vote for all these three. Interesting. Well done. Well done. Now let's see the content snippet. Innovation process has these aspects: empathy, meticulous effort, constant interaction with the users, and effective collaboration. Right? So, had effortless workflow being meticulous effort, all four options would have been correct. Right? So, these are the four aspects of innovation process showcase. And so, please be mindful about it because a question might come including meticulous effort as well, right? So if the option is meticulous effort, then you have to select all four of the correct answers. So all those who said A, empathy, C, constant interaction, and D, effective collaboration, well done. Means that you have gone through the content in a detailed way. Very well done. Let's come on to our third question. If innovation needs to be implemented, what are the two ways to achieve it, as suggested by Professor Chakravarti in the lecture 3 methodology for innovation? अगर हमें इनोवेशन को इम्प्लीमेंट करना है तो हम किस तरीके से, किन दो तरीकों से उसको अचीव कर सकते हैं? Two ways. What are the two ways to implement innovation? Your options are: take it to the established industry, submit it to the government, create a startup, and get a degree in innovation. Think about it and let me know the answers. If innovation needs to be implemented, what are the two ways to achieve it? As suggested by Professor Chakravarti, your options are: A, take it to an established industry, either you submit it to the government, create a startup, and get a degree in innovation. So please try to respond. You have got one vote for A and one vote for C. All right. All right. Okay, good. We have got actually a couple of responses for this question. So we basically have four votes for A and four votes for C. कोई बता सकते हैं कोई एग्जाम्पल देके एनी एग्जाम्पल इधर फ्रॉम प्रोफेसर चक्रवर्ती और योर ओन एग्जाम्पल आप अपने सोच से भी कुछ डेवलप कर सकते हैं कि कैसे हम लोग कुछ ये इम्प्लीमेंट कर सकते हैं nobody wants to talk that's fine that's fine let's see the content snippet. So he says that if the innovation has to be sought, you like to be implemented, you need to take it forward yourself or you go to the industry. So by saying you need to take it forward yourself is basically he's talking about having a startup or go to the industry which is already established, which is basically the option around established industry. So how industry helps is that they have all the required resources, manpower, materials, and hence it becomes quite easy to get your idea materialized quickly, manufactured quickly. So that's where industry helps us. And then the other option is startup. So you can form a team, reach out to the manufacturers and vendors, and then come out with a design solution. Okay. So going back to our question, the correct answers are A and C. Again, all four of you had responded correctly. The two ways of implementing and achieving innovation is either you take it to the established industry or you create a startup, and this is as per Professor Chakravarti. This is very important, okay? It depends on the person who is speaking and who is sharing content. Right. Let's proceed to our fourth question. What was the insight while working on solar oven as told by Professor Chakravarti in lecture 3, Methodology for Innovation? So we are asking the insight on the product solar. Remember, it was the solar oven. People wanted cheap products. People are very interested in solar cooking. People want the convenience of cooking from indoors, and people want solar based rice cooker. What could be the right answer? Again, this is a single select answer. It's a radio button, which means only one correct answer. You're asking the insight while working on solar oven. What were the insights on solar oven? So we have got one vote for C. All right. Anyone else? Okay. Aradhana also says C. Anyone else? We are basically requiring what was the insight on the solar oven case. It was a product developed by one of the students of IIT Bombay, 11, and it was being taken forward. But based on their user studies, the student found out that there is a very important insight in this particular product. And what was it? Was it the cost of the product, which meant that they wanted cheap products? Was it that they were very interested in cooking? Was it about the convenience of cooking from indoors? Or was it that the people wanted solar based rice cooker? Now, two of you have said that it would be people wanted the convenience of cooking from indoors. Let's try to understand it. Now, why people wanted convenience of cooking from indoors? Because we are talking about solar oven. Now, if you have seen, what people have been used to is solar cookers. And how it basically works is that you've got a box which has mirrors here. So sun rays pass here, they get reflected and they come inside. Again, there is a glass panel here which acts as, so this one is a mirror, and then you've got glass here to trap the heat, and then you've got containers wherein you can have rice, you can make dal, or you can make cake. Now, to utilize this solar radiation, this is usually kept on the terrace or balcony or open area. Basically, where you can get ample of sunlight. You know, that is important. And that is usually available from the outdoors. And when he went to the user, he realized that people do want to use solar cooking, but there is a hassle of going into the sunlight, harsh sun environment, and then basically utilize it. So what people wanted was the convenience of cooking from indoors. घर के अंदर रह के हम कैसे cooking कर सकते हैं? That was the insight, right? So talking about the course content. So one of the C's is comprehension, which basically is about arriving at design insights. And here the insight was people wanted convenience of cooking from indoors. And if you see, this is where the student is talking to one of the customers of the one who used solar cooker. If you see, this is the, let me just try to sketch it around here. Yeah. So just imagine the sun rays are coming here, and just imagine that there is a glass here, so it is entering inside the box, and he's heating the vessel here, which is being cooked. So there is a lot of inconvenience around it, handling, positioning, right? So The designer went to the drawing board, sketched a few ideas, saw, what can be done, and then finally came up with this particular product, which can be mounted just like an AC, window AC. Okay. So in the same slot, you can actually have your solar arm. Let's get on to the answer of this question. So the question was, what was the insight while working on solar oven as to by Professor Chakravarti? The correct answer is C. People want the convenience of cooking from indoors. So I think a couple of you mentioned this as the correct answer, and which is true. Well done. It is the people requirement of cooking from the indoors when we talk about solar power. कोई बता सकता है कि where does the rice cooker idea comes in? ये कहाँ से आया? We're talking about solar cooker. Rice cooker कहाँ से आ गया इस पूरे पिक्चर में? Anyone? आराधना? Anyone else who have gone through the content? If you recall, the professor talks about it. That someone suggested that instead of saying solar oven, we sell it as solar based rice cooker. Alright, so Aradhana says that she's in hospital. That's fine. I hope all is well. Trusting to see that still you are able to join in and participate in the session. That's quite appreciable. I hope everybody is well, and please take care of yourself and family. So, if you recall, basically this was from a businessman from Gujarat who suggested the professor that instead of saying a solar oven, which can basically use for cooking so many items, which could be challenging given the heat and temperature requirement and softness, he suggested that to use it as a solar rice cooker so that people will not question about other stuff. Which means that it will be basically used as a rice cooker, and then they would not go around asking questions regarding cake or pulses, etc. So that's where this rice cooker thing came up. Right. So I'm just telling you this because question might come regarding this particular aspect of rice cooker. However, the correct answer is C. On people want the convenience of cooking from indoors. Right. Well done, guys. Now let's talk about the fifth question. What is the correct sequence of the 7 C's? So here basically we are referring to Chakru's 7 C's or the 7 concerns. So all the concerns have been written in a jumbled way. You have to find the correct order. What would be the correct order of the 7 C's? So take some time and try to respond to this question. You have to tell me the order of A, B, C, D in terms of the 7 concerns as described by Professor V.K. Chakravarti. Alright, you have to tell me the correct order of it. So take some time because this question will take a little bit of your time. But if you are thoughtful, you may be able to crack it very quickly. Okay, so just take some time and try to address this question. So anyone with a response? So we haven't received any response as of now. We'll just quickly check if anybody has written a message or so in our chat box. Not yet. So guys, please try to respond to this particular question. Here we are trying to understand the correct order of the seven C's. Remember, there were seven C's which Professor Chakravarti talked about. It starts with the cause. That's the hint I'm giving you. It starts with the cause and ends with a particular thing. So the catch here is that if you know the start and the ending, you will be able to answer this very quickly, right? So because in your final examination, which is a proctored examination, it will be a time-bound examination. So so even if you know the correct answer, doing it fast is something which is very much required, right? So I've got one opinion, which is option C. All right. Anyone else? So Shantanu says C, and let us see what others have to say. Again, I'm telling you the hint or the catch. If you know the beginning and the end, you will be able to respond it very quickly. See, because it starts with the cause. Okay, and cause is option D. Okay. Now, if you see, you have got B, C, D, and starting with D. So your first response is already out. Correct? Now, if you see, then you have B and then you have many other options in between. But if we recall how it ends, we can say conveniently that it ends with the connection. Once you have crafted, you are made, you have checklist, everything is done. The last thing you need to do is make connection. Huh? Connection बहुत जरूरी है. Connections with your users, right? And the connection is your option A. So if we see only one option says A, right? So if we know the first and last, probably we are able to answer this question in a fraction of seconds. And let's see the correct answer eventually. Now, obviously the correct answer is C. So all of you who mentioned C, it's correct. Let's try to look at the individually all these concerns. So you begin with the cause, you go and try to understand the context. You arrive at design insights, which is the comprehension. This is followed by preparing a checklist. And then comes your ideation, which is the conception part. And then you start making it. Crafting is basically model making. And once you have your model, you go ahead with your mock-up, you go ahead with your prototype, you go ahead with your proper final manufacturing, and finally you start making connections. Right? So here the correct answer is C, which many of you have mentioned, which is C is the cause. Let's put it here. Then comes the context, which is B. Then comes comprehension, which is G part. Then comes the check, which is F. Then you have E, which is conception or ideation. You generate ideas, you come up with your final designs. This is followed by the crafting part. And then finally, lastly, you need to make connections. Right? So perfect. All three of you, you have set the correct order. It is D, B, G, F, E, C, and A. Like I said, to do it quickly, recall the first and the last option, just cross validate it and then go ahead with your you know, choice. अगर यहाँ पे भी A होता या A होता, then you would have again seen the complete order, right? But only this has option A as the last option, so without thinking much, you can say it is option C. Okay. Coming to our sixth question. What was the cause for redesigning the India Post letterbox in lecture 3? The options are to design a futuristic letterbox, to design a spherical letterbox, to design a letterbox which becomes a sensation in India, and to design a maintenance free letterbox. Got one good for D. We are asking the first C. First C, which is the cause in the sketching out is basically the older version, had lots of issues. So it's redesigned by Professor Chakravarti and his team, and we are referring to the cause effect. Got 4 votes for this. See the sensational answer. It is the cause is maintenance free letterbox. If you go to the course Innovation by Design, there is another course by Professor Chakravarti. And here, if you see the postmaster, it was Mr. Srivastava who gave them this brief of maintenance free letterbox. So all of you are very correct. Correct answer is D. Design a maintenance free letterbox. Well done, guys. Okay, now coming on to our question number 7. What did Trivikram Annavali, the designer of Vein Tracer, do to gain empathy for the cause as shown in the lecture 3? हमने Vein Tracer की बात की थी. When we did a content recap, we showed about the Vein Tracer. The options are: he visited blood banks without planning a product first. He conducted a survey and decided to solve the problem. He role played the scenario in his head and came up with the problem. He visited several blood banks and decided to solve the problem for the nurses. So you've got 4 options. You've got to tell me what is the correct one. What did Vikram do to gain empathy for the cause in the case of vein tracer? You take your time, try to understand the question. You've got the four options. Visited blood bank without planning on a product, conduct a survey, role played the scenario, and visited several blood banks and decided to solve the problems faced by the nurses. Let's start putting in your choices. If you can see, it is a single correct choice as question. It's fine. You can just share your options and then we can discuss, what is the correct answer to it. All right. So you need not worry about whether it is correct or not. I hope I am audible to the participants. Anyone else? Rest of you guys, what could be the correct answer? We are talking about the product vein tracer that helped the nurses as well as people to avoid the pain of multiple pricks. Got one opinion for A, got one vote for B. All right, let's check out the content. So here the content was talking about empathy. That is, you try to fit yourself into others' shoe to understand. So visited blood banks without planning on the product. So he had no idea in mind prior to the visiting of the blood bank. And when he visited, he realized that the blood donors should not be pricked several times to find the vein. So what he saw that although person has come to donate blood, but since there is a inability to find the vein, they are getting pricked multiple times. And that's where the vein tracer came as a solution. Right from the empathy. Right? So you can correctly see the correct answer is A. He visited the blood banks without planning on the product first. Alright, so well done, well done. That's the correct answer. Coming on to our eighth question. Now, this is regarding the Palki project, which is for the Vaishnav. The check. So again, check is one of the C's. Was to reduce the weight of Palki by 20 to 30%, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, and 50 to 60. So this is basically by half. and the other two are below half. Yes. So they had a check while they were working for a project on Palki. Again, Palki is something wherein, they have this design. There was log of food. People would stand here and take them. Got one vote for option B. तो जिनको पालकी नहीं पता है, anybody who has visited Vaishno Devi, so it is one of the important temples in Jammu. So you reach Katra, and from Katra you have to trek to the temple, which is around 13 to 14 kilometer stretch. So sorry for my throat. So if this is the temple, there is a long journey to go up, and then you have to come back as well. Okay. It is just for depiction. So in Palki get through the people, especially the elderly or who had locomotor disability. These were the people who basically utilized the Palki service. Obviously, it came up with a certain cost, and they had to use it. So the Palki which they were using initially was very heavy. And one of the important checks was to reduce the weight by a certain margin. And that's where this particular question has come. So as I mentioned, the choices are 20 to 30%, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, and finally 50 to 60. Three of you have said it is 30 to 40. Let's see the correct answer. The check was that the weight cut of Palki should be reduced by 30 to 40%. So, बहुत बढ़िया. If you can see, these are the four people. And if you see, they basically have this cloth. एक मोटा कपड़ा है जिससे वो कंधे के ऊपर they put this wooden lock. And here is their customer. And these are the four people take care of the palki. So turns में अपने कंधे rotate करते रहते हैं. So when one shifts it here, the other will shift here, and accordingly this guy will shift here, this guy will shift. All right. Let's come to the answer, and the correct answer is 40%. Well done. It was a little tricky and observant question, but you have replied it very correctly, so good work. Coming to our second last question. In lecture 3, methodology for innovation, what does Chakku's second CV context mean? Context से क्या मतलब है आपका? Understanding the user's perspective. understanding tools used by designers to create new products, understanding the dialect of users, and understanding the problem space and environment. तो आपके पास चार ऑप्शन है। यूजर का पर्सपेक्टिव समझना, या फिर डिजाइनर्स जो टूल्स यूज करते हैं उनको समझना, टू अंडरस्टैंड द डायलेक्ट ऑफ यूजर्स, भाषा को समझना, एंड अंडरस्टैंडिंग द प्रॉब्लम स्पेस एंड एनवायरमेंट। You've got two votes for option D. Anyone else? Any thoughts to it? Basically, we are trying to comprehend context as explained by Sir Chakravarti. Let's check out the correct answer. Context, which is the second C, it is about understanding the problem, space, and environment. Context, understanding the problem, space, and environment. Very, very critical. तो इसका सही जवाब है प्रॉब्लम, स्पेस और एनवायरनमेंट को समझना। So all three of you are correct. Context is essentially about understanding the problem space and the environment. Well done. Coming on to our last question, which is quite an easy one, but this it is an important question. What was the water filter bottle designed for in lecture 3? Water filter bottle design हुई थी. Who was the target user? Was it the CRPF Jawans? Was it the adventure camp enthusiast? Was it the motorcycle riders, or was it the marathon runners? जो प्रोफेसर चक्रवर्ती ने एक केस स्टडी दिया है उसमें he has showed the complete design process and a project taken up by one of the students, and who was the end user. What? Your options include CRPF Jawans, camping enthusiasts, motorcycle riders, and marathon runners. So we have got great 5 votes for CRPF Jawans. Let's see the correct answer. Yes, very correct. It is the CRPF Jawans, and if you remember, we discussed in the content recap section as well. So even if you have not gone through the content, even the content recap will be able to guide you to a lot of questions. Right? So the correct answer is CRPF Jawans. बहुत बढ़िया, well done. So with that, we close our set of 10 questions. And if you remember, we were having a couple of questions from the discussion forum. These were about use of packaged food and their consumption. So we shared a couple of research articles which shows how consumption of processed foods can actually be a health risk. Then we had a question on who exactly are entrepreneur, and this is already discussed in the week 1 content. We have still managed to address this in our discussion forum and in this particular live session as well. These are the people who spot opportunities while others see confusion. And we also stated some examples from the Indian context. Right. So with that, we conclude our session. Uh, Let me come back to the screen. So now, since we have a few minutes left, what I'll do is I'll be opening up the NPTEL portal and I'll be showing you a few things which probably people sometimes get skipped by the people because these links are quite hidden in terms of the overall information architecture. So if you want, you can stay in the session and look at where these different resources are. There is a possibility that you have already gone through it, but then there is also a possibility that you have still not explored these links, right? So I'll be again sharing my screen. So what you see here is your Swayam portal. And once you log in, you'll be able to go to your courses. This is the Understanding Incubation Entrepreneurship. This is how the page opens up. As I mentioned, on the left side, you will see all the content. And if you click here, it will lead you to the registration for examination page. And you can start entering your personal details and you can opt for the registration thing. This is how your week-wise contents are available. And as I mentioned, the problem solving sessions will now be available to you. Let us have a quick look into it. Click on problem solving session. You will be leading to this particular page which says click here to view the problem solving sessions. Click here. And this is how the page looks like. It's a spreadsheet. If you see, we have these two links available of the previous two sessions. By tomorrow, we'll also upload the link for week 3 along with the PDF. And it also shows the meeting attendance, how many people have attended the session. These are clickable links. So if you click here, it will lead you to that YouTube page.
मम्मी पापा daily
It's just an ad. We'll just try to skip it. Yes, so that's
join this course.
that's
all
the
right.
first
I
session.
also have interest in this field as well.
Great. So were you able to go through the
Right. And if you click here, it will lead you to the PDF. So if you see, we have already uploaded the PDFs of week 1 and week 2. We'll be uploading it for the week 3 as well by tomorrow. Now coming on to let's explore these links. Download videos. And what you can also do is if you have internet related issues, you can actually, whenever you have a good internet, you can download all the lectures using this link at once and you can see it from the convenience of your time. So here you will be able to see all the week 12 content, right? तो यहाँ पे आपको सारा दिखेगा. It is up to you how you utilize it. In the main portal, you will see week by week, but here you will see all the week 5, week 6, all the contents are available, right? So here you will have the playlist and you've got the statistics, how many people have already joined the course. If you see, it is one of the top sought courses. This time we have got these many people enrolled. Oh my God. So already 1400 people have registered for the examination. This happened in January to April, which means the previous semester, and there were 86 toppers. You see the difference, right? So many people here scoring. So you can also hear the topper list. Why I'm showing you this is that it's a kind of big motivation, right? So when if you appear, if you perform well, your picture will also be here in the toppers list. If we see the very recent one, this was in the January to April, and you see these people have scored 100 out of 100. See, all these people have scored 100% marks. That's really commendable. So that's a little tough, but then I think people have performed very well, and this is previous to that. Again, you see, I mean, there are a lot of people who have been able to score well. All right. So these are the different kinds of certificates you get depending upon what kind of score you perform. You can have a quick look to it. As I mentioned, best out 8 out of 12 is the assignment score which is given, the final score and the overall score. और जैसे जैसे आपके मार्क्स रहते हैं उसके हिसाब से आपको सर्टिफिकेट मिलता है एलीट प्लस गोल्ड मिलता है फॉर ग्रेटर देन 90 एंड elite plus silver, elite and successfully completed. You've got the entire syllabus. आप इसको डाउनलोड कर सकते हो यहाँ पे. You can also see the download section here also. You've got all the assignments which can be downloaded. The transcripts followed by the videos. So all the videos, like I mentioned, can be downloaded from here. Let's go back to our slide. Here you can access all the transcripts. तो ये आप डाउनलोड नाउ पे क्लिक करोगे और ये आपको अगेन एक ड्राइव खुलेगा जिसमें till 5 lectures you have the transcripts available. And then the lecture notes are also there. So you click and you'll be able to see the link. And here, if you see, you've got the links for all 27 lectures till week 12. Sorry, 27 lectures. तो 12वें वीक तक का पूरा कंटेंट आपको यहाँ पे मिल जाएगा. I also wanted to show week 3 content का additional learning materials. If you have still not opened, in week 3, when you click on additional learning material, you'll be able to see all these different links. So let us quickly explore this as well. So you can click and quickly access. The 4 learning materials which are available. So like I mentioned about No Rules, it's by Reed Hastings from Netflix. They have also come up with a book, No Rules. So you can also order it from Amazon and you can read it. If you want, you can view the TEDx talk, which talks about the secrets of Netflix success. This was the story which I was telling about. 2 of the IIT alumni, Netu and Kirti, who started with an app wherein you can sell and buy the cows and buffaloes, basically for the kettles. And if you see, they have raised so much of funding for their novel, idea to get into this venture. Then you have the case study. Again, if you have time, you have convenience, you may want to go through it. And finally, the detailed study on the Palki for Vaishno Devi. So if you see here, they have mentioned, who all they work with, what was the terrain, how the entire topography was, how much effort was being utilized in the initial design. So initially they used GI pipes, which are very, very heavy, which was replaced by the pipes which they used in the new design, which was more convenient, easy to handle. And if you see, they have included all the imagery to make you understand about the entire existing palki and then how they improvised the design of new palki. So it's a very, very good study. It shows all the different design solutions and the concepts they worked around. If you see, this is the pipe which they used initially, galvanized iron pipe, which was very much thicker. And then they started using SS pipes, which are much lighter but still stronger. So the heaviness and the weight part was addressed using the change of material. So it's followed by the extensive user testing in their actual scenario. Then they take their structural analysis, and then the final part was tested, tied, and delivered at a very honorary presence of then governor, and all the palkis were distributed to the porters. So again, it's a very interesting study. If you get time, please go through it. In fact, all the learning materials which are being given as a support factor, I think these are all interesting. Now, just for a week 4 heads up, we have got 4 lectures here, lecture 6, 7, and 8. And then you have the week 4 assignment as well, which will be having a deadline of probably 21st of August. Yes. All right. So with that, I'm stopping the presentation. And thanks a lot for being there, for responding to the questions, for sharing your opinions, and being there for this entire session. And have a good day. Thank you. Good evening. Good night.